The phone rang at 11:47 p.m. And 7-year-old Maya Dawson knew she shouldn't answer it. But Mama had been in the bathroom for 20 minutes, crying again. The kind of crying she did when she thought Maya was asleep. The phone kept ringing. The screen glowed with words Maya couldn't fully read. Corporate, do not ignore. Her small fingers swiped to answer. This is Richard Corleone, CEO of Pinnacle Tower Industries. A cold voice sliced through the receiver. I'm calling to inform you that your employment is terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you out tonight. Your final check will be— Please, Maya whispered, her voice trembling. Please, sir. My mama said this job is our Christmas. Silence. In his penthouse office, 60 floors above the city, Richard froze mid-sentence. His finger hovered over the disconnect button. The quarterly report spread across his mahogany desk suddenly felt irrelevant. Who is this? His tone shifted, still sharp, but uncertain. Maya, I'm 7. My mama's name is Diana. Diana Dawson. She cleans your building every night. The little girl's words tumbled out in a rush. She works so hard, sir. She works 2 jobs, and her back hurts, but she says your building pays the best. She said, if she keeps this job until Christmas, we can finally get our electricity back on and maybe get a turkey. Richard's jaw tightened. He'd authorized tonight's terminations based on a cost-cutting memo he'd barely read. 12 janitors, anonymous employee numbers, not names, never names. Please don't fire my mama, Maya continued, and he could hear her crying now. I'll be good. I won't ask for toys. I promise. Just, please let her keep cleaning. Please. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. I hope this story finds you well. Wherever you are in the world, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Before we dive deeper into what happens next with little Maya and this powerful CEO, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that button now. These stories need your support, and trust me, you won't want to miss what unfolds. Now, what Richard Corleone does next will change everything. But first, we need to understand who Diana Dawson really is, and why this phone call is about to unravel secrets that will shake a corporate empire to its core. Diana Dawson emerged from the bathroom, her eyes red-rimmed but determined. She'd allowed herself exactly 3 minutes to fall apart. 3 minutes to mourn the notice she'd found taped to her cleaning cart an hour ago. Performance review required. Report to HR immediately. She knew what that meant. In her 5 years of night shift janitorial work, she'd seen those notices destroy families. Baby, who you talking to? Diana's heart stopped when she saw Maya clutching her work phone. Mama, I'm sorry. It was the building man, the CEO. He said. Diana grabbed the phone, her hands shaking. Hello? Sir, I apologize. My daughter shouldn't have— Mrs. Dawson. Richard's voice was different now, quieter. Is it true? You work 2 jobs? Diana closed her eyes. Honesty had never served her well, but lying felt worse. Yes, sir. I clean your building nights, and I work mornings at Sacred Heart Nursing Home. My daughter's right. This job, your building, it pays enough that we might actually— She stopped herself. Why was she telling him this? Might actually what? Have Christmas, sir. A real one. Maybe keep our lights on past January. On the other end, Richard stared at the termination list. Employee number 4A72293. That's all Diana had been. A number he'd approved for elimination without a second thought. part of an initiative to streamline operational costs by 8%. His eyes drifted to the silver-framed photo on his desk. His daughter, Sophia, taken 3 years ago, before the accident, before everything changed. She'd been 7, too, Sophia's age when they'd lost her. "How old did you say Maya is?" "7, sir. She just turned 7 last month. We couldn't afford a party, but we—" Diana stopped. "Sir, am I fired? Please." "Just tell me straight. I can handle it. I just need to know." Richard looked at his reflection in the window. At 52, he'd built an empire, 17 buildings, 4,000 employees. But when was the last time he'd actually seen any of them as human beings? When was the last time he'd been one himself? "No," he said finally. "You're not fired, but I need to meet you. Tonight. Can you come to the executive floor?" Diana's breath caught. The executive floor? Janitors didn't go there. Ever. "Sir, I don't understand." "Neither do I, Mrs. Dawson, but something tells me I need to." He paused. "And bring Maya. I think I need to meet her too." What Diana didn't know, what Richard himself barely understood, was that this phone call had cracked something open inside him. Something he'd sealed shut 3 years ago when he'd buried his daughter and his humanity in the same cold ground. And what neither of them knew was that Marcus Chen, Richard's head of security, had been listening to every word through the building's monitored phone system. And Marcus had his own reasons for wanting Diana Dawson gone. Dark reasons that had nothing to do with budget cuts and everything to do with what Diana had accidentally witnessed 2 weeks ago in the basement parking garage. The executive elevator had mirrors on every wall. Diana held Maya's hand tight, watching their reflections multiply into infinity. A tired black woman in a janitor's uniform and a little girl in pajamas, decorated with faded unicorns. They didn't belong here, among the polished brass and soft lighting that cost more than Diana's monthly rent. "Mama, why does the building man want to see us?" Maya whispered. "I don't know, baby, but we're going to be respectful and—" The elevator doors opened to reveal Richard Corleone standing alone in a hallway lined with original artwork. He wasn't what Diana expected. The photos in the company newsletter showed a stern man in expensive suits, but the person before her had loosened his tie and rolled up his sleeves. His salt and pepper hair was disheveled, and his eyes held something Diana recognized instantly. Grief. "Mrs. Dawson, Maya." He knelt down to the little girl's level. "Thank you for coming." Maya hid behind her mother's legs, suddenly shy. "Sir, I need to understand," Diana said carefully. "Why am I here? The termination notice was a mistake." Richard stood, gesturing them toward his office. "A mistake I've been making for 3 years. Come, please." Diana followed, her cleaning cart instinct screaming that she shouldn't be walking on these pristine carpets, shouldn't be breathing this rarefied air. But Maya's small hand in hers kept her moving forward. Richard's office was obscene in its luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the glittering city. Diana cleaned buildings like this every night, but had never actually seen what the view looked like from inside them. "You work mornings at Sacred Heart Nursing Home?" Richard asked, moving to a sidebar and pouring water into crystal glasses. "Yes, sir. I read to the residents, help with meals. It doesn't pay much, but—" Diana stopped. Why was she explaining herself? "My mother's there, room 347, Alzheimer's." Diana's eyes widened. "Mrs. Eleanor? She's your mother? You know her?" "Know her, sir? She's my favorite. Every morning I read her poetry. She loves Langston Hughes. She calls me her sunshine girl." Diana's voice cracked. "I didn't know." The last names are different, and she never mentioned. She doesn't remember she has a son anymore. Richard's voice was hollow. I haven't visited in 4 months. I tell myself I'm too busy, but the truth is, I can't watch her forget me again. If you're feeling this story, drop a comment below and tell me what you think Richard should do next. And please, subscribe to the channel. These stories reach more people when you do. Maya tugged Diana's sleeve. Mama, the building man is sad like you. Out of the mouths of babes. Richard's eyes glistened. He reached for the photo on his desk, turned it toward them. This was my daughter, Sophia. She was 7 when... The office door burst open. Marcus Chen stood there, his security uniform crisp, his expression dangerous. Mr. Corleone, I need to speak with you. Now. In private. Richard frowned. Marcus, I'm in the middle of... It's about the incident. The one from 2 weeks ago. Marcus's eyes locked on Diana. The one in the parking garage. The one this janitor witnessed. Diana's blood turned to ice. She'd hoped he hadn't seen her that night. Hoped the shadows had hidden her cart, her uniform, her face, but Marcus's smile told her everything. He knew. And now, so did Richard. What incident? Richard's voice dropped to a deadly calm. Diana pulled Maya closer. Her daughter didn't need to hear this. Didn't need to know what her mama had seen that night. The unmarked bags, the black SUV, the briefcase Marcus had accepted from the man in the expensive coat. The man whose face had been plastered across the news the next day, wanted for embezzlement and fraud. Sir, Diana whispered, I think we should go. Nobody's going anywhere, Marcus said, and his hand moved to his belt, where his gun rested. Marcus, what the hell is going on? Richard stepped between the security chief and Diana, his CEO authority snapping into place like armor. Marcus's hand relaxed away from his belt, but his eyes never left Diana. Sir, this woman has been making accusations, false accusations about my conduct. I've documented her erratic behavior, her attempts to access restricted areas. That's not true. Diana's voice shook, but held firm. Mr. Corleone, I've never filed any complaint. I've never even spoken to him except to show my ID badge. Until 2 weeks ago. Marcus pulled out his tablet, swiping through security footage. Tuesday, November 26th, 11:47 p.m. Basement, level 3. You were there, Mrs. Dawson, in an area clearly marked restricted. Diana's mouth went dry. She had been there. Her cart's wheel had broken, and she'd taken the service elevator down to the storage area to get a replacement. And that's when she'd seen it. Richard took the tablet, studying the timestamp. Diana? She met his eyes. In them, she saw something unexpected. Not judgment, but curiosity. Maybe even trust. When was the last time someone had looked at her like that? I was getting supplies, sir. My cart broke. I saw Mr. Chen meeting with someone. I didn't mean to. I wasn't spying, I just... She glanced at Maya, who was watching everything with wide, frightened eyes. I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. Which was? Richard's voice was gentle but firm. Marcus moved closer. Sir, she's a disgruntled employee trying to create drama. You know how these people... Finish that sentence, Marcus. I dare you. Richard's tone could have frozen fire. The silence stretched taut. Maya suddenly spoke up, her small voice cutting through the tension. Mama doesn't lie. She made me promise to always tell the truth, even when it's scary. She said that's what brave people do. Richard looked at the little girl, then back at Diana. What did you see? Diana's heart hammered. Everything in her survival instincts screamed to back down, apologize, take Maya, and run. She'd learned young that women like her didn't win when they spoke truth to power. But Maya was watching, learning what courage looked like. I saw Mr. Chen take a briefcase from a man. They were arguing. The man said something about cleaning the accounts and making sure the trail ends here. 2 days later, I saw that same man's face on the news, Gregory Haddington. He's wanted for stealing $40 million from pension funds. Marcus's jaw clenched. She's lying. It was dark. She couldn't possibly. The parking garage has cameras, Richard said quietly. Doesn't it, Marcus? Sir, you're not seriously going to pull the footage now. The system had a glitch that night. I filed a report. The footage was corrupted. How convenient. Richard moved to his desk phone. Janice, get me IT. I want every backup of our security footage from November 26th. Every redundant system. Every cloud backup. Marcus crossed the room in 3 strides. Richard, wait. Let's talk about this privately. You don't understand the position you're putting yourself in. There are people involved in this. Powerful people. People who help fund your campaigns, your expansions. People who can make problems disappear. Are you threatening me? I'm protecting you, like I've always done. Marcus's voice dropped. Your mother at Sacred Heart? Who do you think ensures she gets the best care? The private room? The extra attention? Not the insurance, Richard. Not the standard coverage. Me. My connections. My arrangements. Diana felt sick. She understood now. Marcus wasn't just a security chief. He was something darker. And he'd woven himself into Richard's life so deeply that pulling him out might unravel everything. Richard's face had gone pale. My mother is safe, happy, comfortable, and she'll stay that way as long as everyone remembers their place. Marcus smiled at Diana. Mrs. Dawson here? She's already proven she doesn't understand where she belongs. But maybe we can help her remember. Maybe if certain opportunities disappeared, both her jobs, for instance. Maybe if certain custody questions were raised about a mother who can't keep the lights on. Don't you dare! Diana's voice was steel. Don't you dare threaten my daughter. Then stop threatening my operation. What would you do in Diana's position? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what happens next. Richard looked between them both, his empire suddenly feeling like a prison. How had he become this? How had he let corruption nest in his own building while he signed papers and ignored the people who kept his world running? Maya tugged his sleeve. Mr. Building Man? My teacher says bad guys only win when good guys are too scared to be good. Out of the mouths of babes, again. Richard made his choice. Janice, call the FBI. Marcus moved fast. Too fast for a man who claimed innocence. His hand shot to his belt, not for a gun, but for his radio. Code Black, all units. Executive floor. Hostage situation. What are you? Richard's words died as 6 security guards flooded into the office, weapons drawn. Diana grabbed Maya, pulling her daughter behind the massive desk. This couldn't be happening. Not like this. Not with her baby in the room. Stand down, Richard commanded. But his own security team surrounded him, their faces blank. Professional, loyal to their chief, not their CEO. I'm sorry, sir, Marcus said, his voice almost gentle. I really am. You've been under tremendous stress since Sophia died. Everyone knows it. The board knows it. And now tonight, calling a janitor to your office at midnight making wild accusations, threatening to call federal authorities over a misunderstanding. He shook his head sadly. It's clear you're having a breakdown. We're going to get you help. You son of... Take Mr. Corleone to the executive medical suite. Dr. Morrison is waiting. Marcus nodded to two guards. Sedate him if necessary. It's for his own protection. You can't do this, Diana shouted. People know we're here. The elevator cameras will show a disturbed CEO holding a janitor and her child in his office while making paranoid accusations. Marcus crouched beside the desk, his eyes cold. Mrs. Dawson, you're going to walk out of here quietly. Take your daughter. Go home. Forget everything you saw, everything you think you know. Do that, and you keep both your jobs. Your lights stay on. Your daughter stays with you. And if I don't? Then Maya becomes a ward of the state, while you're investigated for theft, trespassing, and attempting to extort a mentally unstable billionaire. Your choice. Richard struggled against the guards holding him. Diana, don't listen to him. The footage is already being handled, Marcus interrupted. You think you're the first person to see something inconvenient? The system works, Richard, because people like me make it work. We clean up messes. We protect the machine. Diana's mind raced. She could run, take Maya and disappear into the night. But Marcus controlled building security. He had connections to people who made $40 million vanish. What would he do to one black single mother who threatened his operation? Maya whispered against her shoulder, Mama, I'm scared. I know, baby. I know. Richard met Diana's eyes across the room. In that moment, something passed between them. An understanding. They were both trapped. Both owned by a system they'd never fully understood until it turned against them. But Richard mouthed two words. Trust me. Diana had no reason to trust a millionaire CEO she'd met an hour ago. No reason except the grief she'd seen in his eyes. The photo of his daughter. The way he'd knelt to Maya's level. And the fact that he'd called the FBI before Marcus could stop him. Okay, Diana said, quietly standing. Okay, we'll go. Just don't hurt him, please. Marcus smiled, victorious. Smart woman. Jenkins, escort Mrs. Dawson and her daughter out. Make sure they get home safely. But as Diana moved toward the door, Maya still clutched in her arms. She palmed something from Richard's desk, his personal cell phone, half hidden under a stack of papers. Richard saw. Their eyes met again. He nodded, almost imperceptibly. The guard named Jenkins, young, maybe 25 with kind eyes, led them to the elevator. As the doors closed, Diana saw Richard being forcibly injected with something, his struggles weakening. Miss, Jenkins whispered urgently as they descended, I don't know what's really happening up there, but I've worked here 3 years. Mr. Chen, he's not a good man. Everyone knows it. We just don't talk about it. Then why do you work for him? Because I have student loans. Because jobs are hard to find. Because, he looked at Maya. Because we all tell ourselves we're too small to make a difference. The elevator reached the ground floor. But sometimes, Jenkins continued, handing Diana a business card with a personal number scrawled on it, small people are all it takes. My uncle's FBI, field office downtown. If you need someone to believe you, Diana took the card, hope flickering in her chest. Maya looked up at the young guard. Are you a good guy or a bad guy? I'm trying to figure that out, kiddo. Outside, the December air bit cold and sharp. Diana clutched Richard's phone and the FBI agent's number. Above her, 60 floors up, a CEO was being silenced. Around her, a city glittered, indifferent to one janitor's choice. But Diana Dawson hadn't survived 7 years as a single mother by being weak. She pulled out Richard's phone, password protected. She tried the obvious, Sophia's birthday from the photo frame. It unlocked, and there, in his recent calls, she saw something that changed everything. The last number Richard had dialed before calling her for termination wasn't from the building. It was from Sacred Heart Nursing Home, from his mother's room. And the call log showed it had lasted 47 minutes. Eleanor Corleone, the woman Diana read poetry to every morning, the woman who called her Sunshine Girl, the woman with Alzheimer's who supposedly remembered nothing, had called her son tonight. And somehow, that call had led to everything that followed. Drop a comment if you think Eleanor remembers more than she's letting on, and hit subscribe. This story is about to get even more intense. Diana looked at Maya. Baby, we're not going home yet. We're going to visit someone who might have answers. Because sometimes the truth hides in the most unexpected places. Sometimes it hides in the mind of a woman everyone believes has forgotten everything. Sacred Heart. Nursing home was quiet at 1:30 a.m., just the night nurse dozing at the front desk and the soft beep of monitors down antiseptic hallways. Diana knew the side entrance code. She'd used it 100 times when coming in early for shifts. Mama, why are we here? Maya's voice was small, exhausted. To see Mrs. Eleanor, baby. Stay close to me. Room 347 was dark except for the nightlight shaped like a moon. Eleanor Corleone sat in her chair by the window, wide awake, staring at the city lights below. She turned when Diana entered, and her eyes were sharp, clear, nothing like the confused fog that usually clouded them. I wondered if you'd come, Sunshine Girl. Diana froze. Mrs. Eleanor? You're lucid? For now. I have moments. Brief windows when the fog lifts. Eleanor gestured to the chair beside her. Sit. We don't have much time. The clarity never lasts long. Diana sat, Maya curling into her lap. You called your son tonight. I did. I told him something I should have told him 3 years ago. Something about the night Sophia died. Eleanor's hands trembled. My granddaughter didn't die in an accident, Diana. She was murdered. The words hung in the air like poison. What? Richard thinks it was a car crash. That's what the police report said. But I was there that night. Before the Alzheimer's got bad, I still drove. I saw the other car. I saw it force Sophia's car off the road. I saw the driver get out and check to make sure she was dead before leaving. Tears streaked Eleanor's weathered face. And I recognized him. Marcus Chen. No, Gregory Haddington. The man Marcus just helped escape the country tonight with $40 million and evidence that could destroy half the city's elite. Eleanor gripped Diana's hand with surprising strength. Sophia was a journalist. She was investigating pension fraud, money laundering. She'd discovered something big, something that connected businessmen, politicians, police. Marcus was her source, or so she thought. But he was really feeding her lies, setting her up. Diana's mind reeled. Why didn't you tell anyone? I tried, but within weeks my Alzheimer's symptoms accelerated. My doctor, hand-picked by Marcus, I learned later, increased my medications. Suddenly I couldn't remember my own name, let alone what I'd witnessed. By the time I realized what was happening, no one believed me. How could they? I was just a confused old woman. But tonight, I stopped taking the extra medications the night nurse gives me, the ones that aren't on my official chart. I've been clearing my head for weeks, pretending confusion while I figured out how to warn Richard. Eleanor's voice cracked. I called him tonight because I saw Gregory Haddington on the news. Saw he was missing. I knew Marcus was moving him. I knew Richard was in danger if he got too close to the truth. Maya stirred. Is Mr. Building Man going to die? Like his little girl? Eleanor's face crumpled. Not if we stop them. Diana pulled out Richard's phone, but her hands were shaking too badly to dial. Everything was so much worse than she'd imagined. This wasn't just corporate corruption. This was murder, conspiracy, a web that had already killed one innocent girl and destroyed a family. I'm just a janitor, Diana whispered. I'm nobody. Who's going to believe me? The FBI will, if we give them proof. Eleanor stood unsteadily, moving to her nightstand. She pulled out a hidden compartment Diana had cleaned around 100 times without knowing existed. Inside was a small digital recorder. Sophia gave this to me the week before she died. Her insurance policy, she called it. I forgot I had it until last month, when the fog lifted briefly. It has everything. Marcus, Gregory, the others, names, dates, recordings of meetings. Diana took the recorder with trembling hands. Why didn't you? Because I was scared. Because I'm old and sick, and my son had already lost his daughter. I couldn't bear him losing everything else chasing revenge. But tonight, when you answered his phone, when I heard your little girl begging for her mama's job, I remembered what courage sounds like. Eleanor touched Maya's cheek. Children shouldn't have to beg for basic survival. Sophia would have hated that. She fought for people like you. A sound in the hallway made them all freeze. Footsteps, multiple sets, moving fast. They tracked Richard's phone, Diana realized with horror. They know we're here. Eleanor moved with surprising speed, pushing them toward the bathroom. There's a maintenance shaft behind the mirror. It leads to the laundry room. Go, now. What about you? I'm a confused old woman who wandered to the bathroom. I'll be fine. Eleanor pressed the recorder into Diana's palm. But you have to get that to the FBI, to Jenkins's uncle. Promise me. Mrs. Eleanor, promise me. The old woman's eyes blazed with the fierceness of a mother who'd lost everything. Don't let my granddaughter's death mean nothing. Don't let them win. The door burst open. Marcus stood there with 3 security guards, his face twisted with rage. Where is it? Where's the recorder? Eleanor's expression went slack, confused. Perfect. Recorder? I don't... Where's my son? Where's Richard? Search her, Marcus ordered. Diana held Maya tight in the bathroom, the recorder burning in her pocket, watching through the crack in the door as they tore apart Eleanor's room. The old woman played her part beautifully, crying, confused, asking for people who'd been dead for years. If you're on the edge of your seat, let me know in the comments. And please subscribe. We're so close to the climax. Nothing, a guard reported. Just an old woman's junk. Marcus grabbed Eleanor by the shoulders. Where's the janitor? I know she was here. Janitor? My sunshine girl? She reads me poetry. Eleanor's face crumpled. Why is everyone so angry? I just want my son. Marcus threw her back into her chair with disgust. Find Diana Dawson. Check every floor. She couldn't have gotten far with a kid. They left. Diana waited 5 agonizing minutes before emerging. Eleanor sat in her chair, and when she looked up, her eyes were clear again, knowing. "Go, sunshine girl. Run." Diana ran. Behind her, she didn't see Eleanor pick up her emergency call button, didn't see the old woman smile grimly as she pressed it, triggering alarms throughout the facility, creating chaos, buying time. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is making them think you're helpless. Outside, dawn was still hours away. Diana had a recording, a phone number, and a terrified daughter. And somewhere in his own building, Richard Corleone was drugged, imprisoned, and running out of time. The darkest hour. The moment when everything seems lost. But darkness is always deepest, just before dawn. The FBI field office was a fortress of fluorescent lights and bulletproof glass. Diana stood outside at 3:47 a.m., Maya asleep against her shoulder, Jenkins's business card crumpled in her sweating palm. She'd never been inside a federal building before. Never imagined she'd need to be. A janitor. That's all she was. But tonight, she carried evidence that could topple an empire. "Can I help you?" The night receptionist looked at her with barely concealed skepticism. A black woman in a cleaning uniform holding a sleeping child didn't exactly scream credible witness. "I need to speak to Agent Jenkins." "Agent," Diana squinted at the card. "Agent Raymond Jenkins. It's urgent. It's about the Haddington case." The receptionist's expression shifted. "Wait here." 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. Maya stirred, whimpering. "Mama, I'm tired." "I know, baby. Just a little longer. I promise." "Ma'am?" A man in his 50s appeared, FBI badge clipped to his belt, eyes alert despite the hour. He had the same kind face as his nephew. "I'm Agent Jenkins. My nephew called me 20 minutes ago. Said if a woman named Diana Dawson showed up, I should listen to every word. So I'm listening." Diana's hands shook as she pulled out the recorder. "I have proof. Proof that Gregory Haddington didn't work alone. Proof that connects him to murders, including Sophia Corleone 3 years ago. And proof that Richard Corleone is being held against his will right now in his own building." Agent Jenkins's expression hardened. "Come with me." The interrogation room was cold but safe. Jenkins brought warm coffee and a blanket for Maya, who curled up on the couch while Diana told him everything. He listened without interrupting, recording every word. When she played Sophia's recordings, his face went pale. "Jesus Christ," he whispered. She had all of this? For 3 years, this evidence existed? Her grandmother kept it hidden. She was being drugged to keep her confused. Jenkins stood, pacing. These recordings implicate a district judge, 2 state senators, the police commissioner. He stopped. And they confirm Haddington murdered Sophia Corleone on orders from people who thought she was getting too close to exposing them. "Can you help Richard? Please. They drugged him. They're going to make it look like he had a breakdown. A billionaire CEO doesn't just disappear without people noticing." Jenkins checked his watch. "But they can control the narrative for a few hours, long enough to move assets, destroy evidence, and eliminate loose ends." "Loose ends like me." "Like you," he confirmed grimly. Then his expression softened. "But here's what they didn't count on. They didn't count on you being brave enough to come forward. They didn't count on an old woman staying sharp enough to preserve evidence. They didn't count on my nephew having a conscience." He picked up his phone. "And they definitely didn't count on the FBI already having an open investigation into Marcus Chen." Diana's breath caught. "You know about him?" We've been watching him for 8 months. Small fish we were hoping would lead us to bigger ones. This," he held up the recorder, "this is the whale. This breaks the whole thing wide open." He made 3 calls in rapid succession. Within minutes, the office exploded with activity. Agents suiting up, SWAT protocols activated, warrants being expedited by judges dragged from their beds. "Mrs. Dawson," Jenkins said, "I need you to stay here. You and Maya will be safe. We're going to get Mr. Corleone out." "Wait!" Diana stood. "There's something else. Marcus said powerful people protect him. People who can make problems disappear. What if they're listening right now? What if you have a leak?" Jenkins paused. It was a fair question, one he'd clearly already considered. "That's why we're moving fast, before anyone can warn them." He studied her face. "You trust me?" Did she? Diana thought about all the times the system had failed her. The police who'd dismissed her domestic violence reports about Maya's father. The social workers who'd treated her like a statistic. The employers who'd paid her poverty wages while calling her essential. But she thought about Jenkins's nephew, risking his job to give her a lifeline. About Richard, choosing to call the FBI even when it meant exposing his own complicity. About Eleanor, fighting through drugged confusion to tell the truth. Sometimes you had to trust someone. Sometimes that was the only way forward. "Yes," Diana said. "I trust you." Jenkins smiled. "Then watch this." He turned on the television in the corner. Dawn was breaking outside, and the morning news was starting. The anchor's face was grave. "Breaking news. Billionaire CEO Richard Corleone was hospitalized last night after what sources describe as a mental health crisis." His head of security, Marcus Chen, released this statement. Marcus appeared on screen, his face the picture of concerned professionalism. "Mr. Corleone has been under tremendous stress since his daughter's death 3 years ago. Last night, that stress manifested in paranoid delusions and erratic behavior. He's receiving the best care possible, and we ask for privacy during this difficult time." Diana's heart sank. "They're controlling everything. No one will believe—" "Wait," Jenkins said. The anchor continued. "However, this station has received an anonymous tip and audio recordings that suggest a different story. Recordings that implicate Chen and others in a massive corruption scandal. We're working to verify these recordings, but if authenticated, they could—" The screen suddenly went black. "Signal disruption," an agent called out. "Someone's jamming local broadcasts." Jenkins smiled coldly. "Which means they're panicking, which means we've got them. Leave a comment below telling me what you think happens next. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. You won't want to miss the explosive finale." His phone buzzed. He answered, listened, then his expression hardened with satisfaction. "SWAT teams in position at Pinnacle Tower. Multiple suspects attempting to flee. Federal warrants executed." He looked at Diana. "It's happening. Right now." Across the city, in his office-turned-prison, Richard Corleone was fighting off sedatives through sheer force of will. His hands were zip-tied, but his mind was clearing. And on his desk, the hidden panic button he'd installed after Sophia's death, the one that alerted not building security, but a private security firm loyal only to him, had been activated. Help was coming. For all of them. The turning point. The moment when the hunted become the hunters. When the powerless discover they had power all along. When a janitor, an old woman, a confused CEO, and one honest FBI agent prove that sometimes the system can work, if you're brave enough to make it. Pinnacle Tower's executive floor erupted in controlled chaos at 5:23 a.m. FBI agents poured from stairwells. SWAT moved through corridors with tactical precision. Marcus Chen's carefully constructed empire crumbled in minutes. Guards surrendering, files being seized, servers confiscated before anyone could wipe them. Marcus himself stood in Richard's office, watching his world collapse through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Police lights painted the streets below in red and blue. "It's over," Agent Jenkins said, entering with weapon drawn. "Marcus Chen, you're under arrest for conspiracy, murder, obstruction of justice. You have nothing." Marcus's voice was ice. "Recordings can be faked. Old women with Alzheimer's make unreliable witnesses. And Richard—" He gestured to where Richard sat, still groggy but conscious, "is clearly unstable. Everyone will see that. Except we have more than recordings." Jenkins nodded to his team. They wheeled in servers, boxes of files. "Your encrypted communications with Haddington, financial records showing payments to offshore accounts, and security footage you thought was deleted. Turns out your IT guy kept personal backups. Insurance policy, he called it." Marcus's face paled. "Plus," Jenkins continued, "we have 6 of your security team who decided immunity deals beat prison time. Funny how loyalty disappears when the ship starts sinking." Richard stood, steadier now, anger burning through the drug fog. "My daughter. Tell me about my daughter." Marcus met his eyes. For the first time, something like regret flickered across his face. Sophia was collateral damage. She wasn't supposed to find the connections. She wasn't supposed to be that good. She was 24 years old. She was a threat. Marcus's voice hardened. "Just like you're becoming. Just like everyone who gets too close. You think you're the hero here, Richard? You built this empire on the backs of people you never even saw. People like Diana Dawson, working 2 jobs, barely surviving. You didn't care about them until one child's voice on a phone made you feel something. That's not heroism. That's guilt." Richard absorbed the words like body blows. Because Marcus wasn't entirely wrong. "You're right," Richard said quietly. "I didn't see them. I didn't see what I was part of. But I see it now. And unlike you, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making it right." "Noble." Marcus's smile was bitter. "We'll see how long that lasts." "Take him," Jenkins ordered. As agents led Marcus away in handcuffs, Richard sank into his chair. His empire was about to be torn apart by investigations. His mother's lucidity would fade again. His daughter was still gone, and knowing she was murdered didn't bring her back. But at least now, he knew the truth. Jenkins approached. "Mr. Corleone, we'll need your full cooperation. Depositions, testimony, whatever you need." Richard looked up. "Diana Dawson. Where is she?" "Safe. At the field office with her daughter." "I need to see her." "Please." They brought Diana and Maya to Pinnacle Tower at sunrise. The building looked different in daylight, less intimidating, more vulnerable. Police tape crossed doorways. Agents carried evidence boxes. Richard waited in the lobby, no longer the untouchable CEO, but a tired man in a rumpled suit. When he saw Diana, relief flooded his face. "You're okay, thank God." "We're okay." Diana held Maya close. "Are you?" "I will be." He knelt to Maya's level, just like he had hours ago, a lifetime ago. "Thank you. You saved my life, both of you." Maya studied him seriously. Are you still sad like my mama? Yes, but maybe a little less sad now. That's good. Mama says sad doesn't go away, but it gets lighter if you carry it with other people. Richard's eyes glistened. He looked at Diana. Your daughter is very wise. She keeps me going, Diana said softly. Richard stood. I want to do something. For you. For both of you. I know money doesn't fix everything, but… Mr. Corleone, Richard, please. Richard. Diana took a breath. I don't want charity. I just want to work. To take care of my daughter, to have a chance. Then let me give you one. Not as charity, as what you've earned. I'm restructuring this entire company. New leadership. New ethics. And I want you as part of it. He spoke quickly, ideas flowing. Director of Staff Welfare. Real position. Real salary. Your job would be to make sure no one else falls through the cracks like you did. Like my mother did. Like all the people I never saw. Diana stared. I'm a janitor. You're someone who sees people. Who fights for what's right even when it's terrifying. That's leadership. I don't have a degree. We'll pay for it. Full scholarship. And until you're ready for the director role, you'll work directly with me, learning the business. Full benefits. Living wage. Health care that actually covers things. Tears spilled down Diana's cheeks. What? Because my daughter would have liked you. And because it's right. Richard's voice cracked. I can't bring Sophia back. Can't undo 3 years of looking away, but I can honor her by actually seeing people now. By building something that matters. If this story moved you, drop a comment and let me know. And please, hit that subscribe button. Your support means everything. Agent Jenkins approached. Mr. Corleone, we found Gregory Haddington. Private airstrip, about to flee to Brazil. He's in custody. Richard nodded, then looked at Jenkins. My mother. Sacred Heart. She needs… Already handled. We have agents protecting her and doctors reviewing her medications. The night nurse who was drugging her is in custody. Jenkins paused. She's asking for her sunshine girl. Diana smiled through tears. I'll go to her, right after I take Maya home and let her sleep in her own bed. Actually, Richard said, about your home. I know you've been struggling with rent, utilities. Richard, let me finish. There are apartments in this building. Executive housing. Empty units. Take one. Rent-free for 2 years while you get your degree and settle into the new job. It's not charity. It's making up for years of underpaying essential workers. Maya tugged her mother's sleeve. Mama, does this mean we get to have Christmas? Diana looked at her daughter. At this little girl who'd answered a phone and changed everything. Yeah, baby, we get to have Christmas. And our lights stay on? Forever. Maya turned to Richard. Can Mrs. Eleanor come to Christmas? She's sad, too. We could all be sad together, and maybe make it lighter. Richard smiled, really smiled, for the first time in 3 years. I'd like that very much. As dawn fully broke over the city, painting everything gold, Diana Dawson held her daughter and looked at her new future. It wasn't a fairy tale. There would still be challenges, investigations, hard work ahead. But she had a chance now. A real chance. And sometimes, that's all anyone needs. Sometimes, all it takes is one child's voice saying, please. Sometimes, the system can change. When someone is finally brave enough to answer the call. Christmas Eve. 3 weeks later, the apartment on the 42nd floor of Pinnacle Tower glowed with warmth. Diana stood at the window, watching snow fall over the city, still amazed that this was her home now. Real furniture, a kitchen with food in the cabinets, electricity that never threatened to shut off. Maya sat cross-legged by a Christmas tree, modest but real, arranging presents she'd wrapped herself in newspaper comics. She hummed carols, her voice pure and happy. The doorbell rang. Richard stood in the hallway, holding Eleanor's arm, both of them bundled in winter coats. His mother's eyes were clouded today. The Alzheimer's had returned, but she smiled when she saw Diana. "Sunshine Girl, are we having a party?" "We are, Mrs. Eleanor. Come in, come in." They settled around Diana's small dining table, an unlikely family bound by trauma and healing. Richard had brought a turkey, a real one, golden and perfect. Eleanor had made her famous sweet potato pie during one of her lucid moments yesterday. Maya had crafted place cards with everyone's names in careful crayon. "Mr. Richard?" Maya asked as they held hands for grace. "Can I say it?" "Of course. Thank you, God, for second chances, for people who answer phones, for mamas who are brave, for building men who listen, and for Mrs. Eleanor, who remembers love even when she forgets everything else. Amen." "Amen," they echoed, voices thick with emotion. As they ate, Richard shared updates. The restructuring is almost complete. Every employee now makes living wage minimum, full benefits, including childcare support. And we're setting up a scholarship fund, the Sophia Corleone Foundation for employees' children. "She would have loved that," Eleanor said softly. Even through the fog, some truths remained. "Marcus Chen took a plea deal," Richard continued. 20 years. Haddington got 40. The others are still being prosecuted, but Agent Jenkins says it's going well. Diana nodded. She'd testified before a grand jury last week. Terrifying, but necessary. Jenkins had held her hand the whole way, unofficial but kind. "And you?" she asked Richard gently. "How are you, really?" He was quiet for a moment. "I'm in therapy, dealing with Sophia's death, really dealing with it now, not just burying it in work. And I'm visiting Mom 3 times a week. On good days, we talk. On bad days, I just sit with her. That's something." Eleanor reached for his hand, her grip weak but loving. "My boy, my good boy." Maya suddenly jumped up. "Presents! Can we do presents now?" They gathered by the tree. Maya distributed packages with ceremony. She'd made Richard a drawing, him, Diana, Eleanor, and Maya, as stick figures holding hands under a building that reached the sky. "So you never forget, we're a family now," she explained. Richard's hands trembled as he held it. "I'll frame this, put it on my desk." Eleanor opened hers, a poetry book, Langston Hughes. Diana had recorded herself reading every poem on tape so Eleanor could listen even when the words wouldn't make sense anymore. Then Richard pulled out an envelope for Diana. "This isn't a Christmas gift, it's your first month's salary." Diana opened it and gasped. "Richard, this is too much." "It's exactly what the position pays. Director of Staff Welfare starts January 2nd. You've already been auditing every department, interviewing workers, filing reports that are changing how we operate." He smiled. "You've earned every penny." Diana looked at the check, more money than she'd made in 6 months of cleaning. Enough to buy Maya new clothes, to fix her car, to breathe without panic. To live, not just survive. "Thank you," she whispered, "for seeing us. For changing. Thank you for answering the phone. If this story touched your heart, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Where are you watching from? What moment resonated most? And please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Stories like this need your support to reach people who need hope. Outside, church bells rang across the city. Christmas Eve sliding into Christmas morning. Eleanor dozed in her chair, peaceful. Maya played with her new doll, the first new toy she'd owned in 2 years. Diana and Richard stood by the window, watching snow transform the city into something clean and new. "Do you think we can really change things?" Diana asked. "Not just in your company, but bigger? I think we have to try. Sophia tried. She died trying. The least I can do is live trying." Richard paused. "And I'm not doing it alone anymore. That's the difference." "No," Diana agreed. "You're not alone." They stood in comfortable silence. Two people from different worlds who'd found common ground in crisis. Not romance. That wasn't this story. But something equally powerful. Genuine connection. Mutual respect. Shared purpose. Maya called them back to the tree. "One more present. I almost forgot." She pulled out a package wrapped in newspaper, addressed to everyone. Inside was a photo frame. Maya had drawn another picture, this one showing a phone with a heart on the screen, and the words, "Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is listen." Richard read it aloud, his voice breaking. "May I keep this too?" "It's for all of us," Maya said solemnly. "So we remember." As Christmas morning arrived, 4 people sat together in warmth and light. A CEO learning to be human again. An old woman holding on to love through the fog. A little girl who'd saved them all with a single plea. And a janitor who'd become a director, who'd found her voice and refused to be silent. Outside, the city continued its busy indifference. But inside apartment 421 and Seine, Pinnacle Tower, something rare and precious existed. Hope, family, second chances, and the knowledge that sometimes, when you're brave enough to say please, someone answers, someone cares, someone changes, and everything becomes possible. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for watching this journey. If you enjoyed this story, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories of hope, resilience, and the power of human connection. Leave a comment telling me what story you'd like to hear next. Until next time, remember, you are seen, you matter, and your voice, no matter how small you think it is, has the power to change the world.